All right, guys, on this segment, we're going to be talking about, do I need a lawyer to start a business? Well, there's simple answers and then there's detailed answers. You're going to want the detailed because the simple answer is yes. You always need a lawyer. If you are going into business and you think that you're never going to use a lawyer, business is not for you. I'm sorry, but being in business over 20 years, I have probably 23 different lawyers that I reference. Some of these are contract attorneys that are with the NFL. Others are going to be patent attorneys, trademark attorneys, all separate, right? Business lawyers, consultant lawyers. I have real estate lawyers. I mean, you go on and on. Manufacturing lawyers, lawyers with specific knowledge in certain areas. The more lawyers you have, the better. And I don't mean that in breaking the bank, right? Because in our program, Virtual Scaling Accelerator, we talk about how to have lawyers as your back end where you're simply paying by the hour here or there. Sometimes 30-minute segments. And some of these lawyers are a lot cheaper than they would be everywhere else if you went into their business and they charged you a 5K to 10K retainer. Now, how is that? We talk about that in that program, so I have to put that here. But more importantly, what is a lawyer? Well, you should know what a lawyer is by now. If you don't, the lawyers are portrayed as either the good guys or the bad guys in criminal cases. We're not talking about any of that here. We're talking about the good guys on your side that are going to advise you appropriately. What to say, how to act, how to correspond, things like that. They're going to handle agreements. They're going to do all that. So what can a business lawyer do for you? Well, they can assist with your LLC, your corporation formation, and obviously your partnerships. Now, why is this important? Good point here is I was going to go in the business with somebody before and they said, hey, give me an agreement and I'll take a look at that. I like doing that because I like seeing what that agreement is. It says a lot about their character and their breadth of knowledge and their depth of business knowledge itself. What did these guys do? They gave me a 2-page agreement with the word slush fund in it. Let me tell you, it was a joke. What did I do? I went back. I got with my attorney, I got a series of questions. We went back and forth, myself and these 2 business partners, and I asked all these questions. It was pulling teeth, but once I got the information, I was able to take that to the attorney. Yes, it cost me $3,000, but I had a 46-page operating agreement. Sent that to them and they laughed at it. They thought it was a joke. They said, dude, this is way overboard. This is so unnecessary. And I said, look, it's as simple as this. When did a 2-page agreement ever supersede and do better for anybody than a 46-page detailed conversation? Because that's what it is. It's a conversation of what we agree on paper, black and white. I talked about it on an earlier video because there's 3 sides to every story. There's yours, there's mine, and then there's what actually happened. What actually happened is on that document. And if you have it on that document, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. It doesn't matter what you or I say because what actually happened, there's proof of it, and we agreed on it. That's why agreements are so important. I've been in agreements with Disney that are 96 pages long. I'm talking they are detailed. What you can do, how you can act, where the materials come from, no sweatshops, what the markup on materials can be, if your subcontractors are in there, what their markups can be. I mean, it goes on and on and on, levels and levels and levels deep. The better the agreement, the better you are protected that you talk about this early on and you get this on paper. So yes, if you're initially starting, don't get scared by this. Just get your business going, have a general partner agreement, ChatGPT it. I will tell you what, we have some details and click below. We do have a course on this that talks about getting the basics done and then having an attorney review it. There's a process and it works, but it gets you in the door and it gets you something in your hands, an operating agreement, an LLC formation, any other agreement. Right up front and quickly, and you don't have to spend hundreds of thousands or multiple thousands on it. You're in the hundreds, possibly lower than that. So with that said, you want an attorney to do that, right? You want to make sure you have everything together. If you have partnerships, this is the biggest thing. The biggest mistake I will tell you right now is everybody in partnerships, they think about, oh, the success, where we're going to be at in 5 years. You want to, yes, there's a positive way and you should be thinking positive, but with partners, you want to make sure that you think negatively. What is the worst thing that can happen here? What happens when we disagree on this? What happens when we don't see eye to eye? What happens if one partner or the other starts delaying, personalizing things, doing more personal things than business, stealing company money? These are things that you don't want to talk about. It's weird. But if you talk about it now and you get it on paper, it saves your ass later on. I can tell you that, and I know that for sure in the 25 years that I've been in business, more than 20 years of working with other people and other partners. And I'm on teams that have, 10 to 20 other partners on them. And it's big. There's a lot of egos there. There's a lot of attitudes and there's a lot of personalities. So What do lawyers do? Let's get back to the basics here. They draft contracts, agreements, and other legal documents, okay? They're gonna ensure compliance with local, state, and federal laws. Ultimately, you wanna make sure that you maintain compliance. What you don't want to do is go in somewhere and be out of compliance, because it will bite you in the A later on. So don't do that. Make sure you have an attorney. If you just want a quick consult with one, you don't have to do a $5,000 retainer. Call a couple of attorneys around town, or you can go through one of our programs and we talk about how to find attorneys that are experts in their field, that are just doing side work, and they want a quick, half an hour consulting where they're gonna charge maybe $100 an hour, maybe 80, maybe 150. We can't put a price on it, but I can tell you it's better than the 500 to 800 they're gonna charge if you go in, which we're gonna be talking about in a little bit here. So, situations where a lawyer is critical. You wanna be proactive with this. You don't wanna be reactive. People that are reactive, when you get sued, you're reactive. Because you get sued, now you gotta go get an attorney. Now you gotta get the documents. Now you gotta get everything together. This is what we talked about in an earlier segment, is if you're proactive with saving things, labeling things, filing, structures, everything organized, you are better off later on, and it's less of a time burden on you, because I can guarantee it that you're gonna forget about things, and it's gonna be an issue later on when you're spending a half a day looking for 2 documents. It's gonna piss you off, because it has done it to me. I've learned my lessons and I'm sharing those with you now. So, situations where a lawyer is critical: forming partnerships and in securing investments, especially securing investments. Anything that deals with investments, you're triggering the SEC, okay? And the SEC does not have a statute of limitations. That means if you do something wrong now with an investment, or you do something wrong with the SEC, they can come after you 50 years later if they find out that that was wrong. You'd be sitting at your table, and it happened to a friend of mine. Sat at the table, they banged on his door, they arrested him, and he was indicted because of something that happened 20 plus years earlier. So there is no statute of limitations, especially investments, chain of command, documents, money, the whole 9 yards. Definitely have a lawyer that oversees all of this, because it actually could waive you from some liability, especially if they gave you the advice on that. Get a lawyer to get that right advice. Now, protecting intellectual property. We've talked about this in the last couple of segments: trademarks, patents, copyrights, all of that. You want a lawyer to get the information to you so that you can understand it, right? Also, dealing with disputes or litigation. And you're in business, you're gonna have disputes. You're gonna have litigation. You're going to get sued. The faster, I hate saying this, but the faster you can get sued, the faster the shock value goes away. Now it's to the point, if I were to get served at some point, I'd say, hey, well, I got a team of lawyers, let's rock and roll. I know the process. I could tell you what, and I sympathize with you, the first time that you get served papers and you get sued, it's gonna be a kick to the gut. We'll keep it PG-13. But I will tell you, it's gonna hurt you. You're gonna feel like you did something wrong. You're gonna play the victim. Why is this happening to me? I just wanted to run a business. Well, guess what? In this day and age, everybody sues for everything. So the better you can protect yourself, the better you are. I maintain constant communication. I maintain factual information. I'm fact and data driven. If I have a conversation with you on the phone, I'm writing an email right after that, recapping our conversation so that it's in writing. Okay? If there's a text message or I want to ask something, I ask it in a text. If somebody tries to call, I'll tell them I'm busy and I need to reply now. Can you please reply? That way it's in writing. Okay, you want things in writing. You need to show proof later on that something occurred. If somebody asks you 3 years, 5 years, 10 years later, and you have the proof, and you can immediately recall it just like that. Now, DIY versus hiring a lawyer. This could be kind of scary, right? When is it safe to use online tools like LegalZoom and, of course, professional help? When is it needed? And we're talking overall here about starting the business, right? I know we're getting kind of down the rabbit hole on general items within the business, but starting a business, look, don't overcomplicate it. LegalZoom is great. There's other companies that are out there. The main thing is this: your first company, it's a special occurrence, right? But after you file 26 or more companies in the last couple of years, I could tell you that it just becomes a process. How fast can I do this? How quick can I do this? I can tell you, and we have a simple course in our repository where we talk about this. And it ultimately goes into how to get an EIN number, how to file your articles of incorporation. You can go with LegalZoom and you can do it. Or like in Nevada, I filed many companies in Nevada, Delaware, Florida, California, many other places undisclosed as well. However, What I could tell you is this: the majority of these people, there's a process, there's a registered agent that will help you with this, or there's tools online, or information I should say online, that show you how to do it. If you want to invest the time and you want to learn about it, go ahead. You don't need to pay out the yazoo to get that done, right? Because a lot of these services are going to charge a couple $100. If you don't have that up front, go to one of the states, file it online, get your EIN number, then you file the business, the articles of incorporation, and then boom, you're there. We have advanced structures and things like that in some of our programs, but we're not going to talk about that here. So you can get the tools online that do it for you, because all they're doing is they're doing it for you, and they're making it as a one clean service so that you pay one person, you deal with one person, and they do 3 or 4 other things on the back end. You can do it as well, or they can do it. Do you want to spend the time in doing it, or do you want them to do it? Same thing with patents and trademarks. Do you want to do it, or do you want to have a professional do it? Now, cost of hiring a lawyer. The average fees, it's going to depend. So the average fees on this, lawyers charge anywhere from $100 to $500 to $700 an hour. Really good lawyers are $2,300 or more an hour. You don't need one of those attorneys. Are probably not even going to do this for you because it's so low end, right? But we have details. If you click the link in the description, we will have details on how to get your business started and some resources to use there. Now, how to choose the right lawyer. Experience in the industry. You don't want to hire a real estate attorney that's going to talk to you about manufacturing and starting your manufacturing business. They know enough. They all went through law school, but they don't know the industry knowledge. You're going to want one with an industry knowledge. You don't want to have a patent attorney help you with real estate stuff. 2 totally different industries, right? So in starting a business, have an attorney at least consult you. Again, shameless plug, we have a program that talks about that, where you can actually get that, and we can show you where to get these consultants and attorneys and have a step-by-step process how to do it yourself, or have them do it for you, probably for, maybe $100 to $150 an hour. It's going to take maybe 1 or 2 hours to do the whole thing, right? So that's an option. Now, you want to have the track record and have the experience, the lawyer have the experience with the track record, and of course with small businesses. Like I said, you don't want to be going to different people that are not related to this, because yes, they could do it. However, they're probably going to charge you too much. I've had attorneys that weren't in the industry and they're trying to tell me they're going to charge me $150 to send an email. That takes 6 minutes to do. $150 an hour divided by 10. It should take you $15 to do that, not $150. My business attorney could do the same thing, and he charged me $15 because it's per hour. It was built into some other fees that he was doing and some other work. And so there you have it. Different attorney wanted to charge me $150 just for one email. Not going to work. I'm sorry, man, but you have to vet these attorneys as well. Now, on the next segment, we're going to be talking about, do you need a business plan? You should know the answer by this one now if you've watched all the previous videos. This is crucial. And why is a business plan crucial? We're going to talk about that next.